If you're subscribed, you probably noticed that I play a lot of D&D, and if you aren't subscribed, then do. But with so many games on, it can be rather hard to consider what to turn into a video. I feel like if I made a video like this for one of my current games on my channel, people would put it under a microscope for how accurate it would be. Or, what's more likely, no one would give half a hoot and I'm just anxious for no reason. Anyway, here's a video about the start of a Descent into Avernus game. I don't promise I'll keep you updated all the way to the end, but yeah, here we go. If you don't know what Descent into Avernus is, it's a somewhat recent module for 5th edition. Town has been dragged into hell and you gotta help out. Easy enough. So let's get to the game. I made myself a spiffy cool tiefling. He was a paladin, so you know, I may have been playing to the module a little. With the new tiefling variants out there now, I may have accidentally made my character a little too close to this module. The sub-race that fits best for paladins might just be the bloodline of the lady on the cover. But, we also had a crazy cleric from Pandemonium, a holy Azamar fighty boy, a sneaky halfling rogue, and a half-angel, half-fiend summoner kid, and a little goblin named Charlie. So bam, here we are, in Baldur's Gate, the city of murderers and lowlives. And we're being tasked by the Flaming Fist, who are a private militia trying to clean this place up. That's our task. They were meant to be blackmailing us because we apparently were involved with a murder. It hardly came up, but we were just good sports about it. I say that we were all tasked, but we kind of just met the goblin at a bar. They arrived late, and they just found our characters interesting and wanted to hang out. Now I know what you're thinking. Why aren't we in hell already? Apparently there's this whole dang chapter just to build up to you getting there. A far change from the mist sweeping your way or being kidnapped. And at this point, all our characters really knew is that the town near us was dragged into hell. All we knew, and that there are cultists chilling under a bathhouse in town. So it's not only one gang, by the way, there were 3 groups all working together. The Baal, Bane, and Miracle cultists. Not exactly the holy trinity you want to be fighting, but go get 'em, fellas. Now, what we didn't know is that they had a whole base set up in the sewers underneath the bathhouse. With gross water and cultists, just a lot of cultists. We didn't really want to know what was under us as we stepped through these hallways, hacking through these heretics. Fair to say we bought a new change of clothes with our first payment. While down there, however, our poor little goblin, while trying to hide from a group of baddies we were bopping, just so happened to choose a room with what we thought was an empty sarcophagus. But, turns out there was a mummy in there who just kind of one-shot their low-level butt. I can't say we were all really attached to each other at this point, but this goblin inspired a lot in my crestfallen paladin. So much so that he immediately abandoned this little quest at hand to carry them to one of the many churches. Gaining a debt to save our little friend, revived from death, then more debt, getting the mummy's rot disease removed from them as well. What we do for our little allies. In the meantime, our cleric, or at least the player, wasn't really happy with how their character turned out. We've all been there, made a character with expectations that kind of just weren't what we hoped, so they stayed behind, while the rest of us regrouped and, well, he blew up half the sewer. With themselves kind of included. Definitely one way to drop a character. In return, we got a monk warlock who wanted to join our cause all because they wanted, and not to bring back a dead meme, knowledge. In a strange turn of events, the only one who wanted to deal with any of this was not being forced to. We all held that against him a little, as given the chance, I'm sure any of us would have washed our hands of this situation. We got back at it though, beating up the 3 heads of the cultists going on. And what's that? A 4th cult? Apparently the cult of Tiamat was also dipping their hands in this little Baldur's Gate Royal Rumble match. The dust settled, we dealt with the cults, but we met a man in the sewers. A castaway member of a family with power in Baldur's Gate. They were the Van Thampers, I think. He keyed us in that his family were all the cause of the cult activity, paying them to cause chaos. We told this to our Flaming Fist buddies, and we were given instructions that all paladins await to purge. Now, my boy loved justified purgings, okay? No talking, just hacking and slashing. Not my preferred way of playing, mind you. I was just trying to play something different. Somewhat of the opposite of what I usually do. A somewhat justified murder hobo, if that exists. I mean, if it's cultists and fiends, it's okay, right? We have some boys to beat up. Firstly was one of the brothers. We'd met up with this dude, the whole squad. And rather than just smacking him upside the head and calling it a day, the new guy wanted to talk to him. He even had this little demon fella with him. Anyway, he got away because of our dilly-dallying, but more or less confirmed our suspicions. So our next stop was their family villa, where this time there would be no questions asked, just good old-fashioned clobbering. And along with that, we met with a young lady named Rhea, who apparently was from the other town that was dragged into hell. So we had more people with us ready to beat up these folks. Here we are, at the family's villa, walking in with about 15 Flaming Fist guards, who did absolutely nothing and just stood around as we marched our way through the manor. We were pointed where the lady of the manor might be by one of the butlers, which was more dang sewers. Thankfully a little less disgusting as the last ones we had to track through. Finding demons to beat up along the way, and we did find some prisoners, but our great DM thought they were just unimportant. They're specifically named and uniquely tokened, just being killed by another NPC. Fellas, read your encounters fully before running it, or making hasty decisions. But we found her. The lady, leader of this family, and a member of the council, who was sneakily plunging this town into darkness. And this time we weren't really here to have a little conversation with them. We attacked, or at least I did. But this wasn't any old plain lady. She was buff as heck and started clobbering back. She even punched my boy Hector through a dang wall. It was anime as heck. We eventually beat her up, and the room my character was punched into was actually the vault of this place, which only had a few cultists in it, weirdly. But here we got a little bit more lore of what's going on, and specifically the lady on the cover. Apparently this lady, Zerial, was once an angel who was swayed by Asmodeus to become a devil. Kind of a bad deal, but I think it was to end some endless war they were having. We managed to find a secret exit, so rather than cleaning out the rest of the sewers, we kind of just walked back in the front door and headed upstairs, where we met with another member of the family. This guy was the least sane of the lot of them, as sane as cult-funding aristocrats can be. He was fixated on this cube he was holding, and as we threatened the guards near him to leave, he persuaded them to keep on fighting us by using this cube to bludgeon in the head of the closest guard. It was a short battle again. We kind of just kicked him down the stairs and then looted all their rooms. We had no real idea what we were doing. We didn't even know their scheme. We weren't really sure why they were turning Baldur's Gate into a terrible place, and there was very little to actually suggest or tying us to go to Elturel, the other town, and save it. So we looked around for more or less the plot itself. We did find out, thankfully, that there were a few artifacts here in the manor, the cube being one of them, as well as the shield known as the Shield of the Hidden Lord, an artifact that my character, being a paladin, somewhat knew about, and these two items in tandem seemed to be able to cause what happened to Elturel to happen here. So we get the gist that these people wanted to also send Baldur's Gate into hell. Couldn't have that, so the purge continued. We ran back down into the sewers and beat up a bunch of more culty boys. We arrived to this locked room that we quickly opened with thieves' tools, and it contained an old man and what looked like the treasury, and more importantly, the shield. Less importantly, the old man, who was the High Ruler of Elturel? Some big bowler over there. Before I knew that, however, I did notice his shadow was this horned demon thing, so I kinda just went up and hit him really hard. Then Rhea was all mad at me, because apparently she worked for this dude, or they believed in the same god. That was before we threatened the truth out of him, and it turns out that he was the reason Elturel was in the state it was. The dude made a deal with some fiends, and rather than kill him, we thought he should pay for his crimes in this world rather than the next. Well, as we dragged him to the prison, he kind of just turned into a fiend as well. Just left. But now we had the shield and the cube. All that was really left was to safeguard them from cultists, and we kind of promised Rhea at this point that we would try and save Elturel. None of us really had anything better to do, so we just thought that was the best thing to do, which just so happened to be continue the module, right? You kind of want to do that. And as I sit here, already well into 10 minutes, I can't help but feel very new to all this still. This wasn't meant to be a terribly long video, but there are still so many events or little things I wanted to cover. Like how I managed to wrestle animated armor into submission and forge an alliance with it, wearing it into battle, paladin and armor doing what we do best. Or how our goblin was actually part Nilbog, a weird goblin demon thing that we had to fight off every now and again. Or how our summoner kid had this adorable small griffin snake creature as a pet, and also must have crit with Guiding Bolt nearly 10 times. This kid was a cannon. I don't know. You'd think after a year I'd be a little better at all this, but I guess here we are still learning as we go. I don't know, it's kind of that cheesy thing to say, if I could do it anyone can, but I really think that's the case. Give it a go. You'll be surprised. As always though, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.